Do you remember when Visa cards first came out? You were used to paying with cash or with a check, and then a Visa came out. It was this weird payment system that you didn't understand. And she said, yeah, I remember that. Well, Bitcoin is just the next evolution of another payment system.
Brace yourself, Nakamoto was the foundation. What up, guys? It's your boy Nakamoto Crypto here, and today we have got Kraken's head of business says that Bitcoin could go to $1 million, guys. Kraken's head of business, Dan Held, explains why he believes that Bitcoin could one day reach $1 million per BTC. This is incredible price prediction by the head of the exchange, Kraken. Now, this guy has been involved in crypto since 2013. In his latest interview with Cointelegraph, he dives into the early crypto meetups in San Francisco's Mission District and explains how the price of one Bitcoin could eventually reach $1 million. Now, Held also explained why Bitcoin could become a very boring asset and why he believes it's time to stop experimenting with altcoins. So he says Bitcoin is famous for its volatility, but he also thinks that won't always be the case. He believes that Bitcoin is digital gold. With that thesis comes the expectation that there will be imminent growth in the asset market capitalization. Bitcoin in its final stage, decades from now, will be something very boring, according to this guy. Like our grandkids will go, Grandpa, Grandma, I only hear about Bitcoin. So everyone's got Bitcoin. It's like, who cares? Like it's a boring investment. It's like holding cash. Held predicts Bitcoin to hold from a $5 trillion to $100 trillion value in its final stage. So the market cap of Bitcoin will reach $100 trillion according to the CEO of Kraken. This would result in a transformation from a highly volatile asset to a very boring currency. BTC will be all over and everybody will use it at that stage to the point where it becomes boring like cash, guys. He goes on to say blockchain tech sucks and believes that Bitcoin is unshakable. He's seen his net worth goes up and drop 80% 3 times, and yet 90% of his current net worth remains in Bitcoin. His unwillingness to diversify his portfolio comes from a staunch belief that blockchain is useful for Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. So this guy is a maximalist. He does not believe in altcoins at all. He says that Satoshi purposely built blockchain tech to build just Bitcoin. Blockchain tech sucks. It's terrible. It makes so many trade-offs to build Bitcoin that it is basically ineffective for almost anything else. Under the line of thoughts, which he calls Bitcoin minimalism, to spite Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, he doesn't see a reason for altcoins to exist at all. So to Held, altcoins are just experiments that have yet to prove blockchain is useful for anything else but Bitcoin. So there you have it. This guy is a Bitcoin maximalist. He's riding out hard for Bitcoin. 90% of his portfolio is sitting on Bitcoin, and he has watched it rise up to 90%, then drop to 80%. He's still not selling. He's a huge Bitcoin maximalist, guys. He doesn't even believe in altcoins. Look at what he said. All you need is Bitcoin and no alts. So what do you guys think about that? Riding out for a $1 million BTC one day. Will we ever see that? Especially in these coming years. Now, the first decade most of us has missed out. We just got in towards the end. The next decade, if you miss out, it's your fault. Because from 2020 to 2030, the internet is so wide and big, even third world countries have access to Bitcoin information and cryptography and cryptocurrencies investments. Wall Street is talking about it. So this is mass adoption on a global scale. A $1 million BTC will definitely, truly change lives. So imagine just holding 0.1 BTC and one day becoming a Bitcoin 1%, which means you are one of few people that holds that amount, as the price has skyrocketed so high. I wonder where some of these altcoins will be if we one day see $1 million Bitcoin. Maybe you might see a $20,000 Litecoin or a $100 to $400 Cardano. I mean, a $40,000 to $50,000 Ethereum. That will be incredible and life-changing for a lot of millennials getting into the crypto space right now. So are we early on? Because we are currently only sitting on $9,000 per BTC. This guy is talking about $1 million per BTC. That's over $100 trillion market cap. Incredible. Next, we have got the demand for Bitcoin will see a dramatic shift in 8 years, as retail investors will eat up the entire new supply. The retail investors are coming, guys. So a recent report from Zebra Research explains that by the year 2028, retail demand for Bitcoin will exceed the new supply. The report highlights that in 8 years, as the Bitcoin supply rate decreases, retail size addresses will begin to eat up the new supply alone. Even the next halving in 2024 could see retail acquiring 50% of the Bitcoin circulation. So not too long ago, cryptocurrency proponents witnessed the Bitcoin network's third halving, which cut the block reward by 50% on May 11th, 2020, just before the third BTC halving. The active supply or inflation rate was around 3.8% at that time. Today, that number is strictly dropping. At the time of publication, BTC inflation rate is 3.51%. On June 29th, a research report published by Zebra Research details that in 8 years from now, retail demand will outshine the rate of issuance by a long shot. The study, called Retail Investors Steady in a Physical Bitcoin Snapshot, explains how the BTC network has entered the next reward era. With 90% of all Bitcoin already mined, the remaining supply is estimated to take nearly 120 years to come to market. Zebra wrote, this figure, the remaining 10%, taking another 120 years, shows just how scarce this cryptocurrency really is. Yes, the last Bitcoin ever will be mined in the year 2140 according to their charts. But we might get there even earlier, as 18 Bitcoins has already been mined. So in time, one of the great burdens will be liquidity, and physical Bitcoin becomes harder to come by. The researchers' findings also indicate that the C-19 pandemic gave crypto proponents a glimpse at some potential scenarios. Zebra Research also discussed the question of whether Bitcoin is a better version of gold or not. I say it is. The study says that investors will have to weigh this decision, and demand has moved in decline for gold, further extending that gap available on the market. During the C-19 crisis, no doubt, Bitcoin saw strong demand in the wake of the pandemic. The demand was similarly witnessed for gold. So there is a critical difference to gold. However, Bitcoin supply constraints will not be a result caused by black swan events such as the global C-19 lockdown that shut in the mines, but the permanent, perpetual nature of the store of value cryptocurrency that is designed to cut off the new supply. So the study notes that the researchers leveraged data from the analytics firm Chainalysis. Zebra predicts the retail demand will continue to grow this year, and by 2028 the demand will be greater than the issuance. Just like gold markets, the demand for Bitcoin, while remaining scarce, could send the price of BTC sky high. The next halving will see a lot of retail investors demand, but the fifth halving will see an uncontrollable buying pressure. So according to this article, the 2024 halving will continue to increase, but the 2028 halving, there will be almost no Bitcoins left out there to hodl. So extrapolating future demand at this pace point to a very dramatic shift in 2028 when Bitcoin supply rate further decreases as these retail size addresses begin to eat up all the new supply alone. So by the time the next reward era comes to around 2024, retails could potentially account for eating up over 50% of the physical supply, the researchers added. The paper concludes by stressing, with retail investors gunning hard, these supply constraints might come sooner rather than later should growth in demand from small investors remain as steady as it has in the past decade. So there you have it. Supply and demand, basic supply and demand. So by the year 2028, as early as you who is listening and me right now are in this game, we only have a few time left to hodl Bitcoin according to this article. So within the next 8 years, this is it. Retail investors will jump in by then and they will hold 50% of the Bitcoin supply. That is incredible. 11 million Bitcoin will be held by them. So imagine how scarce this asset class really is. Bitcoin could definitely change life in this decade right here, as it did in the last decade. So as it was the best performing asset from 2010 to 2020, it could do the same thing and even better in this next decade. Next, we have got the Wirecard Drama, the Crypto.com's provider. If you guys remember, I have covered it in one of my previous videos. Wirecard's ex-COO, Marsalek's entry into the Philippines was faked, a minister says. So immigration records of the Philippines showing that Wirecard's former chief operating officer, Jan Marsalek, arrived in the Philippines on June 23rd and departed from China the next day were falsified. So he was never there in the first place. Philippines Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara said on Saturday. Crazy information right here. Guevara said that the immigration officer who inputted the functions entries have been revealed for their duties and face administrative sanctions. The investigation has now turned the person who made the false entries in the database and their motives and their cohorts, Guevara told reporters. Wow, so this guy have been paying immigration officers to bypass every single law out there. Marsalek, who's 40 years old, was fired as the COO of the German firm on June the 18th after an auditor, EY, refused to sign off Wirecard's account, detecting fraudulent activities pretty much. The company once were one of the hottest fintech companies in Europe, collapsed a week later, owing creditors almost $4 billion. Wow. After disclosing a $2.1 billion hole in its account that the auditor, EY, said was the result of a sophisticated global fraud. So a fraudster managed to borrow $4 billion in credit, and this was the supplier of Crypto.com and other crypto credit card providers pretty much. So the missing money was held in an escrow account at 2 Philippine banks, which have denied any links with the Wirecard. So this guy was playing games with everybody. Guevara said that it was possible that Marsalek could be in the country, telling Reuters that notwithstanding the Bureau of Immigration report, I do not totally discount the possibility that Marsalek may be in the Philippines as we speak. Munich prosecutors obtained an arrest warrant against the ex-CEO Marcus Braun and Marsalek on June the 22nd. Braun turned himself in that day, same day that was the ex-CEO. But Marsalek has disappeared and his mobile phone is no longer in service. That figures. So at least the CEO did the right thing of turning himself in. Maybe the CEO wasn't involved. Maybe it was just this Marsalek guy who just disappeared and offed his phone. Both are suspected of market manipulation, false accounting, and fraud, while the circle of suspects has widened to the entire management board of Wirecard. Marsalek's lawyer has declined all requests for any comment, of course. So there you have it. This was Crypto.com's credit card provider, third-party company, and they are $2.1 billion in the hole. And this Marsalek dude, who supposedly been frauding and holding the funds in his own escrow wallet and account, has vanished into thin air, and an international warrant has been issued on his head. They're gonna get him, but maybe just not now. We've seen these things happen over and over. You'll remember the CEO of OneCoin, the lady who just vanished into thin air. Nobody knows where she is on planet Earth. But yeah, it's like a repeating trend right there. So if you're using a crypto credit card with your cryptocurrency, be extra careful. Study, do some research, and check who's your provider. Who out there do you trust to give your money? Because Crypto.com is providing refunds as we speak. They are looking for another provider as Wirecard is in the wind. It's probably going to end up being liquidated. Lastly, we have got how a Bitcoin dev hub is building a future for a free software. So this is a cryptography pioneer. His name is Christopher Allen. He started a blockchain commons to build a free and open source tool for Bitcoin. Now he's got a fresh talent to help him up. So in brief, Commons is taking on 7 interns this summer. At first, for the Bitcoin Development Hub, founded by cryptography pioneer Christopher Allen. So this guy has been in the game, and he is the co-author of the Open SSL/TLS protocol for encrypting and sending data over the web, first developed in the late 90s. The crypto pioneer didn't become involved in Bitcoin though until 2014, but he's been a cryptographer since 1999. So this is one of the earliest OGs out there. He, alongside with Adam Back and Hal Finney and all of those guys, are one of the OG cypherpunks and cryptographers dating back to the 1990s, guys. incredible. And he's back into the crypto space. This is him building an escrow and a new technology working on the blockchain. And on that note, if you like the content, guys, please don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe. Thank you to all of my subscribers. We have went over the 20 subscriber mark. Thank you all. I've been your boy Nakamoto Crypto, and I'm out. Bitcoin under $8,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin under $5,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin over $10,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin is over $20,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin under $8,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin under $5,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin is over $10,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin is over $20,000.
Buy it.
Best performing asset in the last 10 years. True. Look into crypto, we need volunteers. No need to tiptoe, it won't disappear. Do your research, history made it clear.